This episode is generously sponsored by Skillshare. I've always been passionate about continuing my education, but my crazy day-to-day life has made it difficult to engage in formal long-term courses. Then my partner introduced me to Skillshare, and I was hooked. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of different courses on a variety of topics actually relevant to my lifestyle and my wallet. The most helpful class I've completed recently is one led by illustrator and podcast host Andy J. Pizza, titled Find Your Style: 5 Exercises to Unlock Your Creative Identity. This course has really helped engage me during my moments of writer's block and spark creativity. One of the things I like most about the setup of Skillshare's vast curriculum is how the classes are organized. The compartmentalization of the lessons assists in fitting learning into my everyday. This type of easily accessible presentation is much more manageable than other learning platforms, which don't fully appreciate how complex and hectic our lives can be, especially in times like these. Experience the simplicity and learn a new skill today. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description below will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. Diversely accessible, easily digestible. Skillshare, life lessons that fit into your life. Lynn Scholes was a 17-year-old freshman student at Middlebury College in Middlebury, Vermont. In December of 1971, Lynn was looking forward to her final exams of her first semester before Christmas break. On December 10, 1971, she was prepared to take her English drama class final and had studied hard for it. At 12:55 p.m., she left her dormitory with her friends to go take her exam, which was scheduled for 1 p.m. While on the way to the exam, Lynn mentioned to her friends that she had forgotten to bring her lucky pen and that she was going to go back and get it from her dorm room. This would be the last time her friends ever saw her. Lynn did not show up to take her exam, and her friends did not find her back in her dorm room. Her friends found this to be odd, but waited for her for 2 days before reporting her missing. Her parents were notified of her disappearance a week later. Her personal belongings, including her checkbook, identification, and wallet, were all left behind in her dorm room. During the police investigation, they found that on the day Lynn went missing, she was seen outside of a health food store called All the Good Things, eating prunes, just prior to meeting up with her friends to take the exam at around 12:30 p.m. During that time, she had reportedly mentioned to someone that she was going to New York, but that the bus had already left. Lynn then returned to campus, where she had that walk with her friends and reportedly claimed she left her pen back in her dorm room. Later that day, witnesses reported to have seen Lynn again standing at the same bus stop where she was seen earlier, around 2:15 p.m. This 2:15 p.m. confirmed sighting of her would be the last. Police at the time considered the possibility that Lynn had left of her own accord. Lynn had previously sent letters to her family stating she was homesick and was thinking of withdrawing from school. However, her friends and family said she was looking forward to going back to her home in Addison County, Vermont for the Christmas holidays, and they do not believe she would have run away. There were several sightings of Lynn in the days following her disappearance, but none of them were confirmed. The case would soon grow cold. Then, in 2015, a tip led investigators to link Robert Durst as a possible suspect in Lynn's disappearance. Robert Durst was the owner of the All Good Things health food store, the same store that Lynn was last seen eating prunes in front of. Moreover, the store was across the street from the bus stop where Lynn was also seen. Robert Durst is the prime suspect in his wife Kathleen Durst's disappearance, and is also a suspect in the unsolved murder of Susan Berman. He was charged and acquitted for the murder of Morris Black in 2003. He is also seen as a possible suspect in several other murders and disappearances, and his full sordid tale can be learned of in its entirety in HBO's documentary, The Jinx. Before the tip, investigators were unaware that Robert Durst had been the owner of the health food store All Good Things. However, there has been no concrete evidence linking him to Lynn's disappearance, and there has been no new information released to the public. The case remains unsolved. Anyone with information on Lynn's whereabouts or fate are encouraged to call Detective Chris Bodish, who can be reached at 802-388-3191. Suzanne Gloria Lyell was a 19-year-old sophomore at the State University of New York in Albany. She had taken a course in computer science and worked part-time at the Babbage's in Crossgates Mall in Guilderland, New York. Her job was only 2 miles from her campus, and she usually took the bus to work. On March 2, 1998, Suzanne, after taking her midterm exam, left for her part-time job at Babbage's at around 4 p.m. The Babbage's closed around 9 p.m., and Suzanne left the mall to catch a bus to her campus dormitory at around 9:20 p.m. A classmate of Suzanne's saw her getting off the bus at around 9:45 p.m. at Collins Circle, which was a 3 to 5 minute walk from her dormitory. However, Suzanne never arrived back to her dorm room and has not been seen since. The next day, Suzanne's boyfriend, Richard Condon, called Suzanne's parents and told them that Suzanne hadn't arrived back to her dorm room and wasn't picking up his calls. Richard and Suzanne had been dating for 2 years. Richard studied at a different college in the Albany area, but Suzanne would always call him after returning from work to her dorm. Her parents, Doug and Mary Lyell, immediately reported her missing. At first, the police did not take the case seriously, as they believed she was an adult, and it was common for college students to take a trip without notifying anybody. Her parents told police that she was not the type of teenager to leave without telling anybody. Her father told the police, quote, "Susie was not a risk taker. She didn't party or use alcohol or drugs." Suzanne's roommates told the police that she never returned home on March 2nd, as they usually heard her jingling keys whenever she returned. Still, police believed that she would reappear in a few days and did not launch a missing person search. 2 days later, when Suzanne did not return to her dorm room and did not attend her other midterms or classes, the police officially considered it a missing persons case. It was later found that a day after Suzanne disappeared, her ATM card was used to withdraw $20 from her bank account. The withdrawal was made at a Stewart Shop convenience store in Albany at around 4 p.m. The store was approximately 2.5 miles from her college dorm room. It is unclear who withdrew the money, as the area around the ATM was not covered by CCTV. It is worth noting that the person withdrawing the money did know the PIN, as they put in the correct PIN on the first try. Her boyfriend stated that only Suzanne and he knew the PIN to her ATM card. The store clerk was questioned, but he did not recognize Suzanne. Her parents said that the Stewart's convenience store was not a part of the city that Suzanne would have gone to voluntarily. Suzanne's boyfriend, Richard, was questioned, and he said that he was playing games online with a friend the night that she went missing. His friend corroborated his alibi. Even though he is not named a suspect in her disappearance, Suzanne's parents feel that he may be involved. Her mother, Mary, said that their relationship was rocky and that Suzanne had tried to break up with him several times, but had agreed to stay when he got upset. Richard would later stop cooperating with the police, refused to take a polygraph test, and would not answer any subsequent questions without his attorney present. A co-worker later told police that Suzanne had mentioned being stalked by an unknown person about a month before her disappearance. However, Suzanne was apparently not afraid of this person, and it is unclear if he or she is involved with her disappearance. There have been no updates in her case, and the case remains open and unsolved. Edith Ann Warner was a 35-year-old woman living with her 2 sons, Nicholas Smith and Andrew Warner, and her second husband, Henry Warner. Edith had been married twice, and Nicholas was from her first marriage, while Andrew was from her second marriage to Henry. Edith was an art student living in on-campus student housing in the New Mexico State University housing section with her family. In 1991, Edith and Henry were having marital problems, and Edith had apparently asked for a divorce in February of 1991. On February 21st, 1991, Nicholas went to his school while Edith went to her usual classes. Sometime later in the day, Edith told her teacher that she would be back in a few hours and left the class. This would be the last time she was ever seen again. The next day, Nicholas did not attend his school and Edith was nowhere to be seen. 7 days later, on March 2nd, Henry reported Edith and Nicholas missing to the police. Henry claimed that on February 23rd, Edith had told him that she was taking Nicholas with her and was going to stay with a friend. Henry also stated that Edith had taken $1,000 from their joint account as well as $10,000 in gold and silver. At the time, the police believed Edith left of her own accord, taking Nicholas with her. However, her parents and her first husband, Nicholas's father, did not believe this, as she was a devoted mother and would not have left Andrew behind, who was only 3 years old. They also stated that Nicholas was close to his father and would have tried to make contact with him. Her parents said that they last talked to their daughter in February, and when they called her for 2 days in a row in early March, Henry would tell them that Edith was either not home or had gone out for a walk. On March 6th, when her parents called her again, Henry told them that Edith and Nicholas had actually been missing since February 23rd. The next day, Edith's father and her first husband went to visit Henry and tried to talk to him, but he refused, stating that he had to study for his final exams. They visited the campus student housing of the New Mexico State University and met a woman who told them that she had seen Edith a week before her disappearance, leaving her house with a number of cardboard boxes in her station wagon. In hopes of finding any clues, they visited several rental storage facilities, but to no avail. Henry has refused to talk to Edith's parents and moved to Los Alamos. He divorced Edith in July of 1991 in absentia. In 2008, police considered the possibility that foul play may be involved in Edith and Nicholas's disappearance, but the case remains open and unsolved.